In the music industry, it is known that there are many females who are underrepresented, underpaid. So I try to be as involved, I try to be as inclusive as I possibly can. And last year, one of my bids for the London Borough of Culture 2020 was to precisely increase the number of females in the music industry, particularly in radio, particularly in the technical side of radio. My mum's a really strong woman, my grandma was a really strong woman, both my grandmas in fact. And I just love being who I am as an Arab woman living in the United Kingdom and living in this community here. And I love living, I love the Granville because it's set in gardens and because it's very green and leafy. I love the building because it's been repurposed. And I love the idea that, old buildings should not go into dereliction but be reused rather than being pulled down and something else thrown up. Then they retain their character. And we were extremely lucky to have a purpose-built radio pod that we could move into, because in South Kilburn we were actually in the old toilet of the studios.
Okay.
That had been made into a radio, and the sound insulation was just a velvet curtain. So now we have a purpose-built radio pod. My name is Maha. My family come from Damascus in Syria and Haifa, in now a country other than Palestine. And I came to the UK as a child and I couldn't speak any English, and then I learnt English because I had the most incredible teacher called Mrs. Bostock, who I'm still in touch with, amazing woman. And I run k2kradio.com from the Granville, and I have done for the last 6 years, and it started out with me having my own show and having this idea that we should have an English speaking show for Arabs like myself, whose first language is English but mother tongue Arabic. For my radio show, the concept is to promote people from the Arab world, or Arab artists, or artists who cover work about the Arabic speaking world. I shouldn't really say the Middle East because that's a fairly colonial concept. So let's say the Arabic speaking world, which spans from the western tip of North Africa all the way to, Iraq and Kuwait, and then to the north, you've got Syria, and right to the south, you've got people speaking Arabic all the way down to Sudan. We're very much community based. We're very focused on giving voices to the voiceless, or the less heard, or the lesser known. And we're funded through subscriptions, but most funding is done through love, which doesn't pay an awful lot, but it's actually an very integral part of K2K Radio, because it means that it keeps going. And it was started in 2013, so in a couple of years' time we will have been going for 10 years, which is an amazing accolade for a pop-up radio station that started at the Albert in 2013. I just love the idea that I'm giving back to the community the kind of help that I was given when I first arrived here as a child. And Mrs. Bostock would take me for half an hour each day to teach me English, like open the door, shut the door, open the window, can I have a pencil please? So the language that I needed to function in the English classroom. My ambition really is to cover the music of every single Arabic-speaking country in the Middle East. So I've done features on Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, Egypt, time and time again because it's so influential. Sudan, I've done Yemen, which was amazing. I said that when I reached 100 programmes of my radio show that I would stop. I think I'm addicted. I think I've done about 133 now. I can't remember.
Why do you love it?
Because there's always the more I know, the more I realise there is to know. There's always something to find out. There's always something new. There's always another topic. There's always another interesting person to talk to, and I love it most of all because I love people. I love finding out their story. I like hearing their stories. You know, Arabic is a very verbal, it's a, you know, most of our history unfortunately hasn't been written. We have this oral tradition which occurs in, you know, Arabic speaking world and, you know, many countries in Africa and Asia as well, I believe. It's all about the oral tradition. You pass on the history through speaking, the elder speaking to the younger generation. And also because I guess as a refugee I missed out on our history. I don't know our history, and so for me I'm learning about my history. I'm learning about the history of, you know, my country,